I was born in Germany in 1931. That's 78 years ago. I will be 79 and I can't believe it. But I'm here to talk about an event that happened in Germany. It was called Kristallnacht. And before I get into it, I'll just tell you about this. This is where my father was born, 1898. Over 100 years ago. This is Zelmanowicz, Poland. And he left Poland because at that time, when he went into the army, they wanted him in the army, and it was very anti-Semitic. You know what that means? They hated Jewish people. And if you were in the army, they would do things to you because you were Jewish. So he decided to leave Poland as a young man and go to Germany, which was right across the border. And there he went into business, and then he sent for his childhood sweetheart, my mother. He sent for her, and she came to Germany. She was born in Lodz. And this is my mother's brother who came to visit in Germany. But he was smart enough to leave Germany and go to Israel. At that time it was called Palestine. And he went to Palestine, and there he met this Maria, and they were married in Palestine. Now, my mother and father were married in 1923. And my sister, I thought 22, I don't really remember. And my sister, Seal, she's the one that wrote this book that I'm going to tell you about. Kristallnacht. And in German, it's Kristallnacht. N-A-C-H-T. Can you say it? Nacht. Nacht. Okay? Kristallnacht. And why is it called Kristallnacht? Why is it called? Yes. Because they broke all, yes. Yes, they broke the windows, and they broke everything that was owned by Jewish people. They went around and found storefronts. Oh, here are my father and my mother, and this is my sister when she was a little girl, and this is another brother that I never met because he was run over by a trolley car. It was very sad, and my sister mentions it in the book. And this is my father. He was the youngest of, I don't even remember how many children. 9 people, 9 children, 7 children. This was one of his brothers who also came to Germany to escape the Polish army. Because as I said, they were very anti-Semitic. So a Semite is a Jewish person. All right? So they came to Germany. Lippmann was his name.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. You want to go back one? Just go back one.
Back arrow.
If you can. Okay, this is my sister when she was a little older. Can you see it? And you see the thing she's holding in her hand? Every child, you know what it is? That's right. It was like a cone, and they filled it up with a lot of candy for your first day of school. So you should remember, probably not good for the dentist, but
very good.
Very good for the dentist. My husband's a dentist. Anyway, that's a joke. Can we continue? And this is my sister when she was a little older, and this is my brother that was born after the other brother was killed. All right. Now, guess who this is? You. And they thought I was a little doll. So they used to call me Puppa, Poupée. You know, anybody know French? How do you say? Yeah, Poupée is a Puppa, is a doll. Because they always thought I was a little doll. So I never knew my real name until I went to school, and I knew my name was Regina, but I thought it was Puppa. All right? Now here is a picture of the family, and guess where I am? See that little Puppa? And this was Lipman, that was his brother, and this was his wife, and these were the two boys, and this was somebody at my mother's and my sister. And these were my two brothers, George and Martin. Now George unfortunately died a few years ago from smoking. So please, children, if anybody offers you a cigarette, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you. And if they offer you anything else, no thank you. Good, okay. Let's see, is there anything else? Okay. Guess who this is? The Hitler Youth. Right, these are the Hitler Youth. Now when we were growing up, now remember, I was born in 1931, 32, 33, 34. How old was I? 3, right. 3, 4 years old, it was okay, because Adolf Hitler was coming into power at that time. And I was a baby. So my brothers, who were older than me, used to say, oh, the boys and girls were nice kids. They used to play with them until Hitler came into power, I think about 1934, 35, 36. And he indoctrinated all these nice kids into the Hitler Youth. Look at them. Boys and girls. And what was their mission? Can somebody tell me what their mission was? Yes. Loud.
Turning into Nazis so they can...
That's right. They wanted them to become Nazis, and they wanted them to hate Jewish people. What else?
They also want them to for the parents for social.
Absolutely right. They taught the children to turn against their parents. And I remember when I was coming home from school, I was 5 years old. I can pass this picture around with my little doll. I had a beautiful doll. And when I was 5 years old, I remember coming home from school, and one of these little Hitler Youth used to beat me. And not beat me, he used to smack my face. And I said to him, Willie, his name was Willie, warum? Why? Why are you hitting me? Warum? I couldn't understand why. He says, du bist ein Jude. You are a Jew. You are Jewish. Therefore, I have to beat you up. All right? So, you want to pass this around? On November 9th, now, this was 1936, 37, when they used to hit me, when I came from school. But I had one cousin who was a little older, and he waited for them in the hallways of our house. We lived in an apartment house. And he warned them. He says, if you hit my cousin, I'll beat you up. You know, he made sure that nobody saw him, because otherwise they would do something to him. Okay, can we continue? Yes. All right, here is the SS men. They used to stand and boycott Jewish-owned businesses. Suppose your parents had a store or something, excuse me, and they boycotted. They said, don't go into that store because they're Jewish. And they had signs, Juden und Hunden, dogs, verboten, forbidden. What did that mean? Jews and dogs were not allowed to go into the store. So my mother, we didn't have paper bags at the time. We didn't have supermarkets. My mother gave me a basket. I found a basket and I forgot to bring it. And she said, go to the back of the store, a little store. They didn't have supermarkets. And see if you can get cheese and bread and stuff for us to eat. So I did, and the man knew me and knew us, and I was such a beautiful little child that he gave me, Papa, I remember, and he gave me the bread and cheese, and I gave him money. I was only 5 or 6 years old. And that was what we had to do. We couldn't go into the front of the store, like a 7-Eleven store. You know the 7-Eleven stores, that's what they were like. They didn't have supermarkets. So I had to go in the back, and the man knew that who I was, and they gave us groceries. That night, November 9th, 1938, we heard, it was in the evening, it was a Thursday night, and all of a sudden, I was almost asleep. My room was all the way in the back of the apartment. My brothers and I slept in a big room, and I heard knocking on the door. And I ran out and I went on my, I crawled out to see what was going on. And there were the SS men, the Gestapo. And they said, we came to take you. Where are you taking us, my father said. Just get dressed, get the children, and get dressed. They took us to a jail, which was located several blocks from where we lived. It was a big building. We never saw the inside of that building until the night of November 9th, 1938, Kristallnacht. Unbeknownst to us, they took every Jewish family. When we came out on the street, we saw people being escorted by Gestapo men. My mother was crying. We did not know why we were taken there, what was happening. But they separated the men from the women and children. Let's see what's here. This was one of the synagogues defaced by the Nazis. We used to go to a synagogue to pray, and that was not this synagogue, it was another synagogue. They demolished it, they broke the glass, they took all the holy books. It was a big courtyard, I remember that, because when, like a playground, we went to school there, and they took all these books and the Torah. Torah is the holy book, and they burnt everything. Here are German children behind an investment as religious objects from the synagogues were put on fire. Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass. Germany, November 10th. It was November 9th, 1938. But the next day they were still burning. They were still burning things. This I can put in here, I guess.
Yes.
All right, how am I doing? Pretty good, huh? Well, I'm trying to make it very interesting for you because I am considered an eyewitness. My family, my sisters were eyewitnesses to what was happening. And now, after they separated the men and took them elsewhere, we did not know where. We didn't know where they were taking them. I was in shock and extremely frightened. My brothers, who were just a little older than me, hovered close to my mother in this cold, dark courtyard, because it was November 9th, Germany. It wasn't Florida. In Germany, it was very, very cold. It was freezing. And I didn't know where they took my father. And all the men. Now, this is the story. My sister, who was older than us, she had just turned 16. And she was a wonderful piano player. She was coming from her Thursday afternoon piano lesson. And as she turned into the street where we lived, was an apartment house. It wasn't very big, it was about 3 floors. She saw SS men. And her friend whom she had met suddenly stopped her and said, "Seal," her name is Seal, "take a look across the street. There are so many people there and so many Nazis in front of your house. Take a look. There are uniformed stormtroopers." The Gestapo was also called stormtroopers. And they were dressed in brown shirts. So my sister said to her friend, "I'm going to go across the street and find out what's going on, right? What's going on?" As she was crossing the street, one of the Gestapo men grabbed her arm and said, "You come with us. Is your name Seal Zelmanowicz?" That was the maiden name. Seal. She says, "Yes." He ordered her to come with him. She says, "I cannot go with you." She didn't know that we weren't upstairs. What would you have said to the man? "I can't go with you. My parents are waiting for me. What's going on? I have to go upstairs and tell my parents where I'm going. Where are you taking me? They'll worry about me." They had no knowledge. She had no knowledge of what was happening. So at that point, after she protested and wanted to tell my parents where she was, they said to her, "Your parents and sister and brothers are not there anymore. You have to come with us." They were taken away over an hour ago. How would you feel? My sister was dumbstruck. She was speechless. They grabbed her by the arm, a teenager. She just turned 16. Being by stormtroopers and not knowing what was happening, they brought her to the jail, where luckily there were a lot of people there, you know, Jewish people that they had brought, and she found my mother and my brothers and myself. And she saw all the other Jewish women and children. Well, this story is told in the book Kristallnacht. How at the end of the night, somebody came, a Jewish lawyer came. His sister was married to a German SS man. So he had a little, you know, clout. You know what that means? He had a little, what's the word? Influence, thank you.
Oh.
And he went and he knew my mother and the children, us. And he went over to the Gestapo. He says, "Oh, you have to release them right away." So when we finally, and as we were walking out, my sister Seal was the last one. And one of the SS men said, "No, she has to stay here." So he, Mr., I forget his name, he pushed her. He says, "No, she has to go with them." So luckily, we all got out and we went home. We walked home. But we didn't see my father. Somehow, when we got home, my mother put us to sleep, and my sister, who was very smart, very brilliant, really, luckily, said, "Ma, let's go to the railroad station." Do you have a picture of the railroad station?
The first slide I had a picture of the railroad.
Oh, okay. But that's okay. There was a railroad station, a very famous railroad station in Breslau, where I was born. It was several blocks away. And my sister said, "You know, if they're taking the men someplace, they have to go on the train. How are they going to get there?" So sure enough, they walked to the train station, and there they saw my father and all the other men. And she walked over to my father and says, "What is going on?" She walked over to one of, he said, "They are taking us over the border to Poland," because Poland was right near Germany. So that's what happened. They took all the men over to Poland. And over there, they put them in the Polish jails. And for about 3-4 days, we did not hear from my father. We didn't know what happened. Finally, a fruit man came into the jail with fruit, and he wore a jacket and a hat, and my father had some money. He says, please, and he knew how to speak Polish, because you know he was born in Poland. So he spoke to him, he says, look, here's money, give me your jacket, give me your hat, give me the, whatever, the basket, and he walked out of the jail. This was like an escape. This was unbelievable. And he was able to get in touch, finally, because he knew how to speak Jewish, Polish. And he was able to get in touch with a Jewish family who hid him, but they had a telephone. And you know, it wasn't like nowadays with the cell phone. They hid him. And he called my house in Germany. But my mother and my sister were out. They were out looking to find ways to see where he was, to find what happened. How are we going to get my father back? And he said, and my brothers were sleeping, but I was up. And I heard the phone. I answered the phone. Papa, Pa, where are you? What is going on? I was only 7 years old. My father said, take a pencil. We didn't have ballpoint pens. Take a pencil and write this telephone number down. I didn't have a pencil. I didn't have a pen. I saw a lipstick on my mother's dresser near the phone. And what did I do? I took the lipstick, I wrote it on the mirror. On the mirror, I wrote his phone number. God was good to me that I was able to do that. So when my mother and my sister came home, oh, he said, make sure Mutti, Mommy calls me the minute she gets home. The minute she got home, she called him. And he was able to tell her exactly where he was, and told her, make arrangements with a smuggler, somebody who smuggles people out of countries, like bad countries where they take the prisoners, they smuggled them out and brought them to a free country. Get the smuggler and do this and do that and do that. Everything's in the book. I'm not going to go into that, but she did. She listened to him. And if it wasn't for that telephone number, we would never have seen my father again. Several days later, the smuggler, she got a hold of the smuggler who traveled to the border. It was like going from Fort Lauderdale Plantation up to Palm Beach maybe, you know, very long trip. Now she couldn't stay over in a hotel. Why? Why couldn't she stay in a hotel? Why? Right, not only that, but it would be very, very suspicious. What is this woman doing here in a hotel? So every night, she and the smuggler went to the border and came back because he wasn't ready to come. Finally, the night that he was able to get there, the dogs were out after them. They had to fall into a ditch so the dogs didn't get their scent to follow them. Finally, luckily, my father got into the smuggler's car, and my mother was there, and they were reunited, and they traveled all the way back to Breslau, where we lived. Finally, when he arrived home, we were so thrilled and so happy, but he was...
Good afternoon, teachers and students. Please excuse the interruption. Due to inclement weather, there will be no recess outdoors. Please keep all students indoors at this time until the weather clears. We will let you know. Thank you.
By the way, the night that they took them, in the train station, my sister walked over to the conductor and to one of the men there and said, where are you taking them? So the SS man pointed the rifle at her and said, if you don't get out of here, I'm going to shoot you. Forgot to tell you about that. In the book, you will learn how he got back to Germany. But why did Hitler do this? Why did he lash out at the Jews? Why?
Because he doesn't want the Jews for the problems.
Right. Very good. He blamed all the Jews for all the problems. And because something happened in France where a Jewish young man who was very, very upset at what was happening went to the German embassy in France and he killed a German official. So that was one of the reasons that he lashed out at the Jews. But it turned out to be the crucial turning point in German policy regarding the Jews. And now, November 9th, 1938 is now considered the actual beginning of the Holocaust. Now, I met a teacher here whose parents or whose in-laws were in the concentration camps. So, boys and girls, that was the event of Kristallnacht. But then we were very lucky, and it's a long story. This is the Europa. This is a big boat that we finally came to the United States. After my father came back from Poland, they got him back. He was not allowed to go out because if some of the German people saw him, they would report him and say, oh, how did he get out? How come? So he had to be in hiding until we went to Berlin to get the papers. You need special papers to come to this country. And we had already signed up for the papers many, many years ago. So when we went to Berlin, by that time my little brother was born. He was only a month old, my little brother. And when we went to get the papers, the German Nazi who was there said, oh, we can't have him on the papers. Mr. Zelmanowicz, you did not tell us that your wife was pregnant and that she was going to give birth. You can't take this baby with you. Well, what would you do if you had a little baby brother? You would be very upset. My father gave me the baby and he said, look, all the way over there is a man. And he thought it was the American ambassador. A congressman came to see what was going on. I took my little baby brother and I went over to the ambassador, whoever it was, I don't remember who it was. And all I knew how to say in English was, my little brother. And the man looked at me, and thank God I was a cute little kid. And he said to the Nazi, put him on the papers. He is going with them. My brother now is a plastic surgeon. He has 3 daughters, and he has to keep me very beautiful because I saved his life. Right? All right. So, I am going to give out some papers to your teachers that I made. So if you or your parents want to get the book, there's a phone number on there. An eyewitness report of Kristallnacht, and it's the whole story of how we got here and how it, then what else? Let's go through this quickly. Oh, these are the people that were left behind in Poland, and they were all killed in the concentration camps. These were all cousins and uncles and aunts. All right? And here's my mother. She was a twin, and this was her twin sister. Okay? And this when she was so beautiful and so young, when she came to Germany to marry my father. And this is again some sisters of my mother who were all killed in the concentration camps. And this is me all grown up in Brooklyn. And this is me. And when I met my husband, Leo Zimmerman, he was an Air Force pilot. And he's a World War II veteran. You can pass this around. Stand up, Leo. Can you stand up? He can't stand up, so.
I got a bed.
All right. So are there any questions? Are there any questions? Oh, I have two sons. One of my sons is over there. Yes, sweetheart. Do you have a little microphone for her or what? Can you yell it out, your question?
We have a mic.
Oh, good. My mother, and the picture, the one on the right, and that was her twin sister. Yeah, that was my mother. Yes, another question?
Did
Go ahead.
you have to go into hiding ever? Like hiding from the Nazis? Like
I myself did not have to go into hiding because we were very lucky. We came out on the last passenger ship, that was the Europa that you saw. We came out before World War II. My father had to be in hiding because remember they took all the men. Yes, yes.
Good looking guy.
How old were you when your little brother was born?
He was born January 18th, and I always kid him about that. I'm 8 years older than him. I was almost 8 years old when he was born, see? Because we went to Berlin to get the papers in January, the end of January. He was only a month old. So I always tell him, I'm 8 years older than you, and my sister's 8 years older than me. So he always reminds me of that. Yes.
When you were on the boat, when you were traveling to America, were there any Nazis on there?
When we were lucky, when we were on the Europa, the beautiful boat, oh, it was lovely. By that time, we were sort of safe. The only thing is, I remember, this was really something. I remember meeting some Japanese men, who used to come and talk to us on the deck, and they took pictures of us. And when we came to the United States, my mother took the pictures and tore them up because at that time she was afraid that maybe they would associate us with the Japanese who were going to be at war with us. You understand? We came here in 1939, and the United States was attacked at Pearl Harbor in 1941, December 7th. So when she remembered the Japanese on the pictures, because these Germans, they would go through everything. They were so suspicious. But she tore up the picture. She says, oh, I don't want anybody to know that we meant Japanese people. Okay, anything else?
And were you healthy during the thing?
Can you talk louder?
And were you healthy?
Oh yeah, I was very healthy. I was a healthy kid. I used to ride a bike, and when I came here, I used to do a lot of swimming. In Germany, we had a pool, and I learned how to swim when I was 5 years old. And yes, we were all very healthy. Yes.
did you have to put yellow stars on your clothes?
No, because that was after. That was after this, when the war started. Remember, we came here on the last passenger ship before World War II. And then what happened, I think, in Holland and the Netherlands, right, they made them all wear yellow, the yellow armbands. But the king came out with the yellow armband too, because he says, these are my people, and you're not going to hurt them. Yes.
Are any of your cousins still alive?
One cousin that escaped, he was on the train with his brother going to Buchenwald or Auschwitz. He jumped off the train, And the Nazis shot his brother, and he ran into the woods, and he lived in the woods for many, many years. There's a movie now called Defiance that tells about these Jews that escaped from Poland and lived in the forest. He was the only one that escaped. He came to the United States after the war. He was lucky also. A Polish family hid him. And his daughters are here. But he smoked. He smoked. What do you say when somebody gives you a cigarette? No, thank you. He smoked. And he got cancer of the lungs, okay? So he died, but he was the only survivor. Yes.
Never mind.
Excuse me, what did you say? Louder.
He thought that your parents had been in a camp, but we just told him that.
No, because we came out in 1939.
Right before.
The last passenger ship before World War II, okay? Now, there are many, many people that were sent to the concentration camps. And that's another whole story that I have to tell you when I come again. Yes?
Did you know any of your friends who got taken away?
Oh yeah, they were all, every one of them. I have a picture of me and my classmates, and every one of them were, I think maybe one or two were able to get out and go to England. And from England, they went to Palestine. At that time, it was Palestine. And after the Holocaust survivors were liberated, they had to go to displaced persons camp because they had no homes to go back to. The Germans confiscated all their homes. They took all their belongings. They took everything. And they were lucky to go to Israel. This is where they went finally, when Israel was formed in 1948. Okay, one more question? Well, I guess the one is Auschwitz. By the way, this book now is in Auschwitz Jewish Museum because they were so sorry about what happened. And some of the German people are very, very guilt-ridden about what happened. So, yes.
Back to the kids who beat you up after school, after your school?
No, after Kristallnacht we had no schools to go to because they demolished all the schools.
The kid that was...
Oh, my little brother? No,
Willie.
Oh, Willie. Oh.
Was he?
He was a Nazi youth. He was no good. He used to wear the uniform with the straps. And his brother Hans used to come and they used to fool around. They would take a knife, you know, one of these knives, and come at me like this, and then at the last minute, ha ha ha, he'd turn the thing around. He would turn the knife around and just do the butt of the knife. And here I was so frightened. I was a little girl, 6 years old. Yes?
Did you live in Israel?
Did you live in Israel?
No, we came right to the United States. We came and we saw the Statue of Liberty.
New York. Have you ever returned to Germany?
No, I don't want to go back. No, my sister did.
Did she?
Yeah, she did. But I never want to leave this country. I kiss the ground that I'm here, that we escaped. Read the book. Yes. Yes, we went to Ellis Island. And when I was on the boat and I saw the Statue of Liberty, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Send these, the wretched refuse of your teeming shores. I lift my hand, I don't know the rest. But there's a beautiful song that they made. That's at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. She's ignoring you. Look it up.
Don't worry.
Give me your tired, your poor, by Emma Lazarus. Yes.
Did you ever get beaten by a Nazi?
Just by Willie, just by the Hitler Youth. They used to, you know, smack me around. I was a little girl, yes.
Him.
Yes. Yes.
Did you ever come face to face with Hitler?
Oh, one time, yes, when we were coming from school, they had these parades all the time, and the buildings were covered with the red flags and the swastikas. And one time we were coming from the school, and they had this big parade, and I was with my brothers, and we were so frightened because everybody's going, Heil Hitler, and we wouldn't do that. So we sort of like hid behind the crowd. Yes, I saw him in that, you know, that Jeep, or whatever they call it. He was standing up. And we never understood what he said, because he never spoke German very well. Yes. Yes.
Do you know these girls who were German maidens?
Oh yeah, the German girls also. They used to wear the long blonde braids, and they were German youth. They were Hitler youth also. Yeah, like in the movies, right. No, you see, the question was, did I ever have friends that went to the Hitler Youth? You have to remember, we were not allowed to go to the German school. We went to like a parochial school. Like now you have Catholic schools and yeshiva. We went to a Jewish school. It was called the Jewish school, so they were all Jewish kids. Believe me, none of them went to the Hitler Youth. Yes. Yes, I remember. The question is, when I came to the United States, did anybody make fun of me? Yes, I remember one kid who was stupid. He used to say, oh, go back to Germany. I said, you go back to Germany. And I was very lucky. I spoke English in 3 months because I'm a musician and I have a good ear. So you couldn't tell that I, you know, that I had an accent or anything.
Did you find a job on the US?
Well, I went to school. My father opened a little business, and I went to school to PS 97 in Brooklyn, and then I went to Cecil Junior High, and then I was lucky to get into music and art high school, and that was a big trip. And the principal didn't want me to go, because he said it was a bad neighborhood. I cried, I said, please, I want to be a musician, I want to be a teacher, yes. Oh, sure, I had a lot of friends in America when I came here, and I had one friend that lived across the street, and she was a little older than me, and it was the summertime. I came in July, and she used to get a kick out of teaching me English. So they had a garage, and she had chalk, so she taught me all the words and everything. So by the time I went to school in September, I knew English, but they put me in first grade. I was 8 years old, because I didn't know the language. But I quickly caught up. Yes?
Was it still hard in America, like when you came?
Oh, sure. It was very difficult, because they took all the money. My father was very wealthy in Germany. They took everything, but we didn't care. We just wanted to get out with our lives. All right.
How long was the boat ride?
Oh, 7 days. It was great. That was the best thing that ever. Oh, and before we went on the boat, they searched me, they searched my brothers, they searched the baby carriage, my brother, and then they took my mother into a little room, and they searched her all over. We were waiting and waiting and waiting, and didn't understand what was going on. Finally, they let her out because she had nothing. I mean, they thought maybe she smuggled diamonds or money. But she wouldn't dare. I mean, that was too dangerous. First of all, we didn't. Who didn't? And yes. Was Hitler Jewish? No, he was not Jewish. And I don't think he was not Jewish. And this fallacy, I think that they said he had Jewish blood. I don't know. I doubt it very much. He was a crazy man. He only wanted to annihilate the Jews and make the Germans an Aryan race with blonde hair and blue eyes.
When you got to America, and when you went to New York, did you want to move somewhere else?
Did I what?
Want to move somewhere else?
No, we loved Brooklyn. We came to Brooklyn. We didn't want to move anywhere else until I got married. Then I moved to Long Island, yes. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to be a music teacher. I played the piano when I was 5 years old, and my sister, who was a very, very fine pianist, and the most amazing thing, when she was 16, she played with the Berlin Symphony Orchestra, a Jewish girl. She played the Mendelssohn Piano Concerto, G minor. She was so good, and she taught me and she prepared me. You had to take a test to go to music and art high school.
Not what she did during World War II.
Spy.
Oh, yes, during World War II, oh, you don't have a picture of her, no? She married a lovely young man who went to Japan, and he studied Japanese. And he interrogated all the Japanese prisoners, and she worked for General Douglas MacArthur, because she was so brilliant, and she was so smart. She was just wonderful. If not for her, I don't think we would have been able to come out, because she knew how to talk to the Germans, and she knew English. And then during World War II, when the Japanese were, after the war, she went with her husband to Japan and lived there. And oh, this is a nice story, I gotta tell you. Quickly, my brother-in-law studied Japanese. So when the Japanese left the Philippines, they had all these important documents and all these secret papers. And they said, oh, what stupid American is going to be able to read the Japanese and whatnot. But guess what? He was able to read it. And because he was able to read the Japanese secret documents, it helped with the invasion or whatever, with defeating Japan. Okay, and do we have any more time? Who didn't get a chance to?
We have some in the back.
In the back? All right, yes. Come on, stand up. All right.
What grade were you in when you were in school?
All right. When I came here, I was 8 years old. I was supposed to be in 3rd grade. But being that I had a language difficulty, they put me in 1st grade. But then they realized I knew what was going on. I knew math, I knew this. So one of the teachers every day used to give me a list of English words, and she translated them, and I would go home and study all the words. So in about a month or 2, they promoted me to 2nd grade. And then finally, they promoted me to 3rd grade, because I spoke the language. I learned it very quickly. And then when I went into 7th grade, I was in the special class where you skipped a half a year. RA, they used to call it, 7 RA at Cecil Junior High. And that's how I caught up. And then high school, I did 3.5 years. So I went into Brooklyn College when I was about just 18, and I got my BA in music education, and then I got married, and while I was pregnant with little Elliot there, I went to Queens College and I got a master's degree because they were giving them out for free if you took education courses. The city was giving it out for free. So I took credits in education and music, and I became a music teacher after I got my master's degree, after I gave birth. And then I had another little boy, Stephen, yes. Oh yes, that was Kristallnacht. We saw people taking, they took them all to the jail there. Yeah, right, you already had it, yes. Oh. In New York? What, no. Well, they were all there, sure. They were all there. They used to have meetings and parades and marches. And, oh no, they never would say sorry. They used to like to beat you up because you were Jewish. They certainly wouldn't have liked you either. And you know why? They didn't like Catholic people. They didn't like black people. They didn't like Jewish people. They didn't like anybody, like Ahmadinejad. You ever hear about Ahmadinejad? Yes. And any other one? Oh yes, I was always interested. Was I ever interested in any other activity? Yes, I did swimming, I did bicycle riding, and and that was it. And I did music. I played the piano and I sing. Yes.
When you were swimming, what were the bathing suits like?
Oh, there were tank suits. There were tank suits. Most of the, like the Olympic swimmers wear. But I was not an Olympic swimmer. Yes. Was I ever close to dying? Yeah, one time when my colon ruptured. That was here in the United States. But I survived because I'm very healthy. Okay? Yes. Last question. Yes, he wasn't a Nazi. The bookkeeper, Mr. Barge, that worked for my father, yes, he was wonderful. He warned my father. He said, Mr. Zelmanowicz, please, in 1936, he says, get out of Germany. It's going to be very bad. He did. Mr. Barge, Herr, Mr. in German is Herr, H-E-R-R, Herr Barge. And he was very nice. And he warned. And then he told my father, Mr. Zelmanowicz, I cannot work for you anymore. Because if the Nazis find out that I'm working for Jewish people, they will kill me and they will kill my wife. So there was one of, okay. And now, I think, yeah. So anyway, thank you all so very much. I want to thank my Thank you so much. Let's give her a big hand. And thank you to my wonderful husband, Regina Zimmerman. And maybe one day I'll come again. Don't forget, but just one thing. If you hear of anyone being anti-Semitic, anti-Catholic, anti-anything, fight for the right. Fight for that right. This is America. This is the United States. The best country in the world. I would like to now do a very, very special, here it is, holiday song. It was written by Bach, and it comes from the Bach First Prelude. And a composer, a French composer named Charles Gounod, was so inspired by this prelude that he wrote a magnificent melodic melody to it. And this melody was used and adapted to one of the most famous texts in all of liturgical history. I'd like to sing it for a special holiday song.